This mystery is truly frightening. In 2016, an adorable young boy named Steve Stone went missing during a day out with his parents. After extensive searches, his remains would be discovered in a neighboring apartment, shocking everyone. But what exactly happened? This is the missing boy found in neighbor's apartment. Steve Stone was born on July 28, 2003 in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, USA. He was an energetic and jovial kid who was much loved by his family and all who knew him. Steve would have celebrated his 13th birthday 3 days before he vanished. On October 1, 2016, Steve was spending time with his mother and her friends at their home. His father stayed behind to get some work done. At around 1 p.m., they decided to go shopping at the nearby giant supermarket on the corner of Byberry Road and Princeton Avenue. As they parked outside the store, Steve told his mom that he was going to grab some candy from the trunk, while she unloaded the groceries. This was right next to their house and had been a regular occurrence. When his mom came back out of the store, she couldn't see Steve anywhere. She assumed that he had gone to a friend's house. When she texted his dad, Ron, asking if he knew where Steve was, she got a reply saying, "No, he was just here." Panic set in. They searched the surrounding area, but there was no sign of Steve. His bike was still outside of their house, and his cell phone was on silent, which was unusual because he never did that. Worried sick, his mom dialed 911. "My son has been missing for over an hour and we can't get hold of him. We tried calling his cell phone and it goes straight to voicemail. I don't know what to do." The operator assured her that they were sending officers right away and to stay calm. Still, every minute that ticked by brought a fresh wave of fear. The police had no leads. They didn't know if he had run away or if something worse had happened. The search continued throughout the night with dozens of local residents helping out. As the hours passed and there was still no sign of Steve, hope began to dwindle. The community was stunned. This quiet neighborhood had never seen anything like this before. In fact, it was such a peaceful place that people often left their doors unlocked at night. Now, though, those same doors were bolted and window blinds shut tight. There was even talk that a serial killer might be loose in their midst. The disappearance became a media sensation with news channels broadcasting appeals for information across the country. The FBI got involved and posted a $10,000 reward for any tips leading to Steve's whereabouts. Meanwhile, Steve's parents put up a website to share updates, asking for prayers. All they wanted was to be able to hold their son again, to feel his small arms around their necks and hear his infectious laughter ringing through their house. It seemed impossible that they'd ever get that chance. But there was a twist nobody saw coming. While everyone was focused on combing through tall grass in parks and checking vacant houses, Steve was literally right under their noses. The answer lay within the walls of his own neighborhood. Of course, the cops had been everywhere, but they hadn't considered looking closely at home. It sounds crazy, but that's exactly where Steve was. As the investigation dragged on, one name kept popping up, a man named Gregory Thomas Viviano. He lived in an apartment on the same block as Steve and had been acting strangely since the boy disappeared. Whenever anyone asked him about the case, he gave a different excuse for why he didn't have any information. And he seemed awfully smug about it, almost like he knew something he wasn't telling. That kind of attitude raised red flags with investigators. He was the only person in the neighborhood with a locked car, not wanting anyone snooping around inside. But what did his car hold that was so important? They needed answers. Officers tracked down the owner of the car and got permission to search it. What they found made their blood run cold. Inside the glove box was a broken children's shoe that looked identical to one Steve wore. Then there was something else, something even more disturbing. Hidden beneath the car's floor mat was a blood-stained mattress. This was now key evidence in the case. The police brought the mattress to a lab where it was confirmed to have Steve's DNA on it. It matched his exact blood type. As for that shoe, it wasn't just similar to the one Steve wore. It was actually his shoe. Now the net was closing in on Mr. Williams. The cops were sure he knew something about the boy's disappearance. However, they needed solid proof before they could make an arrest. So they put surveillance cameras outside his house to keep tabs on him. Little did they know that he was already planning his next move. 2 days later, on October 5th, officers entered Vivian's apartment. It was a mess. Clothes and trash were strewn everywhere. The place clearly hadn't been cleaned in weeks. But the biggest shock awaited them in the bedroom. There on the bed, covered in a blanket, was Steve's lifeless body. Next to him was a note from his killer explaining what he'd done. It read, "I am sorry for what I had to do. I have 2 kids, and if anything happens to them, I will find you. Greg." The horror of it all sent chills down their spines. How could someone live among them and do such a thing? How could they have missed the signs? Their worst fears had been confirmed. Steve was dead. The shock rippled through the neighborhood, turning the community upside down. No one could understand why someone would hurt Steve. He was a child known for his kindness and sense of wonder. The accused, Gregory, was arrested and charged with murder and kidnapping. He had a history of petty crimes, but nothing could have prepared him for what came next. As the court proceedings began, chilling details emerged about the case. Gregory had lured Steve to his apartment by offering him money to buy him some beer. Once inside, he assaulted the boy. When Steve fought back, Gregory pushed him off balance and accidentally knocked him unconscious. Thinking quickly, he called 911, pretending to find Steve wandering around outside his house, claiming that he had no idea how the boy ended up there. However, his lies unraveled when officers found traces of blood in his apartment. He attempted to cover it up with paint, but it was too late. The jig was up. Gregory's plan fell apart when he confessed to assaulting Steve. He insisted, however, that the boy wasn't dead. The last place anyone had spotted Steve alive was at his home on the afternoon of September 13, 2016. Despite extensive searches, there was no sign of a struggle or forced entry. Most puzzling, Steve had left behind his mobile phone and his wallet, which was full of money. His disappearance baffled authorities, who struggled to understand why someone would kidnap a well-liked teenager and then leave him unharmed in his room. The Stone family were torn apart. "We are broken," they said in a statement. "Our son, our beautiful boy, was taken from us, and all we have is a pile of clothes in a bedroom closet. Our son is gone. Nothing can bring our son back. But we need answers. Why?" Even after 6 months, the pain of losing their beloved son refused to fade. There isn't a second that we don't think about him, that we don't miss him, that we don't love him. And we know we will never get over the loss of him. He was perfect. For the community, Steve's death was a stark reminder that evil can lurk in the most unexpected places. The once sleepy neighborhood had become a crime scene. "It's terrible to think that we were all living with a monster," said one resident. "How could we have been so blind?" The impact of the murder continues to resonate. Parents are more protective, doors are kept locked, and a playground stands empty where children once laughed and played. A once vibrant community forever altered by the unthinkable actions of one man. What do you think about this case? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe.